Hi everyone, hopefully you're doing well. So this is a continuation of the Wells Fargo Super Check, and you can check out the previous videos on that in the playlist. The Super Check is a check that's been provided to me by Wells Fargo as a promotional opportunity. I received 3 Super Checks that I can write fundamentally to myself or pay off a bill, and this is how I'm utilizing it. Okay, so the Wells Fargo Super Check was used against one of the Wells Fargo credit cards that I already have. This card initially had a balance of $7,400 on it, but over the last 3 months in using Velocity Banking and throwing 3 of my W-2 checks of $1845.13. So each time that I got paid for the last 3 months, at a minimum, one of those paychecks went to pay down this card to 0. Now the credit card already had a 0% until 7/1/27, so I'm not paying any interest on it. But when the interest kicks in, they say it will be 28.99 on the card. So once I had $7,500 limit on the card in using the Super Check, there was a 5% fee, which was $350. They required that I keep some on the card, which was $150. Now, I did not know about this amount that was on the card. It was somewhere in the writing, so the devil's in the details. When I first ran my numbers, I thought I would have $7,150, but again, there's a 5% fee at this particular time, and then there was a requirement that a minimum amount stayed on there, and they calculated that to $150. And I think it's like I needed to call in to get this additional information and to get the amount that they calculated. So that left me with $7,000 that I can pull. So I went to the bank on the 8th and wrote myself a check for $7,500. They deposited. I went into the bank on 8/8 and they deposited the $7,089. Now, once I got that deposit, I attempted to Zelle $3,500 to myself, and that went through, but Zelle has a daily limit. So on the 9th, I could not move any other money, which was $3,500 that was left. So what I had to do was Saturday on the 10th, I went into the bank and I pulled off $3,500, and then I took it over to Bank of America to Zelle it back over to myself. So, and these were the steps. I first Zelled $3,500 of the $7,000. That went successfully to my HELOC in another bank. And then again, the daily limit, I ran into some hiccups with that. So please find out if you're moving large sums of money through Zelle, what is the daily limit on your Zelle account. And I had to go to another bank, which I said was Bank of America. I pulled out the $3,500. And once I had that $3,500, then a payment was due on the HELOC. So before they accepted any more principal payments, I had to take out $622 from the second $3,500. Once I took out the $622, that left $2,878. However, because I made the payment of $3,500 on the 10th, I think on the 10th, which was a Saturday, this one right here was still pending. So they really don't process after, at least the bank that I have, they have 2 processing time. they have a processing time that's associated with the checking account, and then they have a processing time that's associated with an additional website that's tied to my HELOC. So the checking account was 7:30 Eastern time, and the HELOC deposit was 11:59 p.m. And maybe I'll go into more detail later. So as a result of trying to get it into the 10th, it held it until Tuesday tonight that the $2,878 will be processed. So it just sat in my checking account. As a result, they're saying I still will get credit for lowering my principal with the transaction over the weekend. So that's one of the things also in other videos you may hear, that as soon as you make a principal payment, it's immediately lowered. At least in my case, it took a little bit longer for it to go down, but they did accept a payment on a certain day, and then they'll go back and recalculate it. All right, so the sum, this is my process that I'm still going through and using the super check. That total $7,000 went to pay down the HELOC. So the HELOC sits at right now about $58,000. Now, as a result of getting this interest-free loan for the next 12 months until 8/31/2027, I can subtract $3,528.78 from the principal. So $3,500 plus 28.78. I thought it was going to be the full $7,000, but because I had to make that payment, so the principal will come down $6,378. And that's okay with me with the payment, because I was going to make it anyway, so it still will come out to be $7,000. They just took the payment early, and then I'll just make up the difference. So $63.78 from $58,000 minus 3,500 minus 28.78. That'll come down to 54,500. So that'll be my new average daily balance, and the statement closes on the 5th of each month. So once I get some more rents that come in, and once I get another W-2 check, I'm gonna bring that down probably another about another $4,000 in general, and then let that sit. And I'm only using about 3 credit cards to make my charges throughout the month until I pay it down. All right, so didn't want to make it that long, but this is the status of the Wells Fargo super checks that was provided to me, 3 of them. I still got 2 that I can use up until 8/31, and transfer in is going to be additional fees, but I have a few more days if I pay down some debt. All right, thank you very much. Have a great day.